when my dad taught me how to drive a car in the empty parking lot of our neighborhood supermarket, he began the lesson as I imagine many a parent began teaching their own children. I sat behind the wheel, the key in the ignition, my hands at 2 and 10 o'clock, trembling as they were, on the steering wheel, and he admonished me, "Do as I say, not as I do. Focus on my words, not my actions." It was a pointless note of caution, as of course I was going to model my driving after how I had seen him do it for the last 16 years from the backseat of his car. We all know that actions speak louder than words. There were periods in rabbinical school when I was studying to be a rabbi that we would spend weeks analyzing just one sentence, one passage of Torah or Talmud. We would question and we would argue over the meaning of every word, trying to get at the essence of what the rabbis meant in their own time, in their own commentaries and analysis of that very same passage through the ages. Now, I'm not a literalist, so on one level I found the whole exercise extremely frustrating. But then I was reminded of my father's instructions: do as I say, not as I do. Words have meaning. In the context of sacred texts and prayers, they are chosen with a precision to best express the intent of the author. In Talmud we say, kal v'chomer, meaning light and heavy, or big and small. The idea here is to communicate a truth, a larger truth, by comparing it to a similar one in smaller situations. And so I say, kal v'chomer, so much the more so words have meaning when the authorship is attributed to God. And so it struck me as hollow and meaningless when, in the shadow of the recent massacre in Orlando, politicians, community leaders, and really many just ordinary everyday people would offer the consolatory phrase, "My thoughts and prayers are with you," or would change their Facebook status to a rainbow flag or some version of "We are all Orlando." Words matter, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. People are being gunned down in the streets for being gay or Israeli or black or of another political persuasion that is different than your own. And these empty acts of writing a few words, of changing a profile picture, they were just, well, there's a word I want to use, but I'm not going to because I'm in synagogue, but it begins with a B and has an S in the middle. And they were utter that. We don't need your thoughts and prayers, or your Facebook status updates that took all of 10 seconds to create and were actually copied from somebody else's page, so they're not really yours anyways. You plagiarized them from somebody else's account. It's really their thoughts and prayers, not yours. So what do we need? We need you to do what you say, not just say what you say. Now, I realize that saying, "My prayers are with you," is another way of saying, "I care about you, sympathize with you, with your predicament, and wish you comfort." And as a sentiment, this is truly unobjectionable. And as one who finds himself daily at bedsides and gravesides, searching for the words to express comfort, I know that those words can be elusive. But as a palliative, in the wake of societal tragedy, they are empty and meaningless. They are too little, and they are too late. What can it mean to a person whose loved one has been killed that a news anchor or a public official says, "Of course, our prayers and thoughts are with the victims and their families"? The intentions are admirable, but after the phrase is repeated enough, it becomes to seem more rote than real. We have a or nearly similar empty phrase in Jewish tradition. When a friend or a loved one dies, we console the bereaved by saying, Zichrono livracha, may their memory be a blessing. What does may mean? And how does may happen? It doesn't just happen by saying it. Rabbi Rick Jacobs observed that just as it's not enough to pray to be fast, to pray to be healthy, to pray to be wise, neither can we merely pray for the lives of those massacred to be a blessing. If we aspire to speed, we must train. If we aspire to wellness, we must take care of ourselves. If we aspire to intelligence, we must study. And if we aspire that the memory of those massacred in Orlando is to be a blessing, then we must make it so. In Tractate Brachot in the Babylonian Talmud, God tells Moses, Lech red, go down from the mountain. Because the people have lost their way, they have gone too far, so far as to threaten their own destruction. And Moses, hearing this, Moses prays. And Moses meditates on what he should do, and only then, in the midst of his prayers for guidance, his thoughts, his prayers move him to action. From personal relief that he will be spared to the realization, Devar ze talui bi. This thing depends on me. And so he immediately stands up and he challenges God to withhold the threatened punishment. Yes, Moses prayed, but his thoughts and his prayers, they led him to action, not absolution from responsibility. Moses hears God's threat as a call to action, understanding that something hangs in the balance and that one person stepping forward can shape the course of the future. These four words change his world. Devar ze talui bi. This thing, it depends on me. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe in thoughts and prayers. What we say is important, words matter. But actions need to matter most to us. We must not think that the words are the beginning and the end of the sentence. They are only the beginning, the very beginning, like an introduction to what we must follow on and do. If we believe that prayer is a way of changing the world, it's too late. The disaster has struck, and those affected are reeling in the aftermath. What good can prayers do them now? Prayer is not to change the past. Prayer is to change the future. The purpose of prayer is to change us. The 17th century rabbi Leon Modena taught his students to imagine standing on a shore, watching a man out on a boat. And that man grabs a rope and begins to pull his boat to shore. Now, if you were confused about weights and measures and motion, you might think that what he was really doing was pulling the shore to his boat. And people have much the same confusion, I think, about prayer, about the spiritual weight and motion in prayer. Some believe that they are pulling God closer to you. But in fact, the heartfelt prayer pulls you closer to God. Prayer doesn't move God. Prayer moves you. Rabbi David Wolpe writes, we offer prayers to elevate ourselves along with the one who has suffered. If our prayers are truly with them, we are committing ourselves to work towards a world in which such tragedies, whether mass shootings or diseases or natural disasters, can be mitigated or ended. A prayer changes the world through changing us. It moves us to action. Prayer pulls us closer to God, and therefore towards what might be and what should be. Seen in this light, a prayer is a sturdy rope of solidarity that is thrown out to the sufferer, one that acknowledges that we are in this thing together, and that they are hurting because we, all of us, have not yet done enough to help. To pray is to pull on that rope and draw us nearer to action. In a free society, when something terrible occurs, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, few are guilty, but all are responsible. A prayer offered with such consciousness says, I am with you. I might have done more. Your pain is not separate from the deeds of my life. I pray that you will have comfort, and that I, along with others who know of your suffering, will work to make a world in which such pain is banished, such suffering is ended. Devar zeh talui bi. This thing depends on me, it depends on us. Offer all of the thoughts and prayers that you want. We need them. But they are not enough. They are only the beginning. We must do as we say we will do in our prayers and our thoughts. We must be moved to action beyond status updates and forwarded emails of solidarity. And you want an example of this? Go back to Selma, the fight for civil rights, and Abraham Joshua Heschel marching with Martin Luther King across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Heschel was challenged by his congregation. They didn't think he belonged on that bridge. They said to him, Rabbi Heschel, you belong on your bima, not on that bridge. You belong on your bima, leading your congregation in prayer. And Heschel's response, you've heard it before, he said, when I am marching for justice, my feet are praying. We must start praying with our feet. Every single one of us. Actions speak louder than words, and we need to cause a great awakening. Because the evil is winning, while good people, people of good character and values, while they slumber and update Facebook with more and more words. Devar zeh talui bi. This thing depends on me. This thing depends on us. Ken yehi ratzon. Not only may it be God's will, may it be our will. May we do what we pray about.